Hello everyone and welcome to PL 2220. This week I've prepared a short PowerPoint that talks about preparing to draft a will, and that is what Chapter 5 is about. And next week you will be preparing to draft a will with your first writing assignment. So I wanted to just touch on a few things and get your wheels turning as far as preparing a will. So Chapter 5 talks about checklists. And I want you to make sure you look at those checklists. It has great information. It tells you exactly what the client needs to bring in and look for and what you should be asking the client for. And this should be really something that you are thinking about and making sure that you have all of your affairs in order for when you decide to draft a will yourself or decide to have an attorney prepare a will for you. So in week 1, I asked, do you have a will? And these were the top 2 answers. I don't have anything of value and I'm too young. So you may not think you have anything of value, but that's not necessarily true. You have more than you think. And it's not just things of value. It's more of helping your family. You know, when you pass, it's a difficult thing and the family has to deal with it and they don't want to be wondering where everything is. If you have everything put together for them, it makes things so much easier, you know. And then I'm too young. Not everyone dies of old age. You know, unfortunately, a lot of young people pass and it's just easier if you have everything in order. So take an inventory of what you have and decide what you want to do with it. So the checklists that are in the book cover everything from property to life insurance to children. These are all important things that need to be considered when drafting a will. So do you have minor children? Who will take care of the children if something happens to you? Now, if you are married, your spouse will absolutely have custody of the children. But for those of you who are widowed or divorced, or the child's parent hasn't been involved in their life, these are things you really need to consider. So this is something you would definitely want to speak to an attorney about, just to make sure that what your options are and make sure that all your bases are covered so that there are no issues and there won't be any fights over the children. Everything will already be, you know, set in your will. Do you have a bank account? So will someone else have immediate access to this account if something happens to you? And it's not, you know, a big deal that somebody has access immediately. And this is all things that you can get access to through the courts. But, you know, you want to make sure that someone knows where you bank. If you have a savings account, you know, you'd want that to go to your family members. So be thinking about that. If you have a safe deposit box, does your family know that you have one? You know, leave them that information. Your home. Does someone have access to your house or your apartment if something happens to you? Now, earlier I mentioned if you're married, you know, a lot of these questions are already answered because the spouse will have access to the home. The spouse has access to the kids. But, you know, really look at this in a different light. What happens if both of you are in a car accident or something happens to both of you at the same time? You know, you need to really think about your backup plan, okay? So as far as your house and your apartment, you know, if you have a pet, for example, does someone have access to your house to give them food and water? Again, this is something else that you can, you know, get access to through the courts. But if somebody has a key to your apartment, they have permission to, you know, go in and take care of your pets until everything gets sorted out, then that's something that you might want to consider. Speaking of pets, do you have pets? And have you decided who will take care of them? Do you have a family member that is willing to take them for you? Or is it going to be something where you have to surrender them to a shelter? You know, these are things that you really need to think about and make sure that you have in place for when something happens. Your place of employment. Does your family know who to contact at your place of employment? For example, your HR department, just your boss in general, to let them know what's happened to you. But HR, especially for the benefits, if you have life insurance through work or you have any kind of benefits that you're entitled to, you want to make sure that your family members know who to contact. Speaking of life insurance, do you have life insurance? Life insurance is something that goes outside of the will. So it's a document all on its own with its own beneficiaries. So does your family know where to find your policy or who to contact? There are so many agencies that sell life insurance, and you have to let your family know that you do have one. Maybe give them a business card, let them know where the policy is and who to contact, just so that money, gets to the people that you want it to go to. End of life choices. Do you have a living will? You will be creating a living will in this course. And for those of you who don't know what a living will is, it is something that you have on file with your primary physician or with the hospital. And it's something that you can actually get from your doctor or like from Presbyterian website or something like that. It's a very simple document. You check some boxes, you sign it, and you give it to your doctor. So you are deciding whether you'd want to be kept on life support, whether you want just to be kept comfortable. These are all things that are your choices that you are not going to be able to make because you're incapacitated. So if you know what you want, a living will make sure that those choices are honored. There's also a section there where you can let the family decide. If the family decides that this is not going to get better for you, they can make those decisions for you. But at least let your family members know. If you've never talked about this before, let them know, what, I really don't want to be kept on life support. So if anything happens to me, that's not what I want. Okay. And the reason that I bring this up is because we're going to be looking at cases where families have fought over, these decisions. There's no living will. One side says they want this person to keep, be kept alive on life support. The other side of the family says, no, that's not what she wanted. So, it goes all the way to the Supreme Court. This is something that shouldn't be decided, in the courtroom. This is something that's your personal decision that all you have to do is make a living will, and it makes everything easier on everybody. Do you want to donate your organs? Do you want, medication for pain? All these different things. So it's something that you can easily take care of. Okay, and make sure your family knows your wishes. Do you want to be cremated or buried? I know in the book it says not to put this information in the will because by then it's too late, but just make sure your family knows your wishes, because to some people it's very important that they be cremated or they not be cremated. So just make your wishes known. Special wishes, are there any items that you want certain family members to have? For example, if you have something that was passed down from your great-grandmother and you want, your sister to take it, or you want your best friend to have it. These are things that you could easily take care of by putting it in a will. It's impossible to fulfill these without a will, just because, from reading the first few chapters, the statutes take over and, your friend may never know you wanted her to have something. So make sure that you have all of that taken care of in your will. So death is difficult, and it's difficult for family members. So make it easier on your family members and have all of your affairs in order so they don't have to make these decisions for you. It's not something that we like to talk about, but it's definitely something that you should be thinking about. So please remember that I'm here to help. If you have any questions at all, please email me. So next week we will be working on our first writing assignment. So if you have any questions, please reach out. I am here to help you. I'm here to answer any questions that you have, big or small. Just please let me know. So have a great week, and I will talk to you soon.